Have someone ever come to you and said, you know, hey, I need this, or can you do that, right? They have a need, and that's how it comes across, as a need. And so you fulfill that need. You do this, or you give them that from which they said this need arose, right? And then after you've taken care of them, they turn around and take what they said they needed for this or that, and they do something totally else different, right? What is that called? When you give something for a specific purpose, and then what you give is not used for that specific purpose. I'm going to tell you what it's called. It's called misuse of the blessing, because there was a need. You asked for help. Then someone comes along and helps you with what you asked for, but then you don't take what you asked for and apply it to where it's supposed to be applied. You decide to change mid-stroke and do something else. That is misuse of the blessing, or if you want to call it abuse, because anything that's misused is abused. You dig? I don't know what kind of family you were born into, but I wasn't born into a well-off, well-to-do family, right? We didn't have long money. We didn't come from old money. You know what I'm saying? So the things that we valued and that we held to be really important might have been a little different than someone that was well off and came from money. You did? So things that we value, right, may be a little different. But what you value doesn't negate something that's being misused or abused, right? It depends on of the value that you put on it, right? Some of us value our time. So if a person, misuses our time, oh, we're hot, we're pissed off. Others of us value, our intellect, our knowledge, our understanding. And if you make us feel inferior or stupid, or like we have very little understanding when it comes to the way of knowledge, oh, that's going to trigger a button. It's going to set me off. Some people, really value their money. You know what I'm saying? They work hard for their money. And if they're going to give you any of it for whatever reason that they're giving it to you for, they expect you to do just what you said you were going to and what you needed it for. Otherwise, they're pissed off and they cut you off. You dig? So it's all what we value and what we put that value on. You know what I'm saying? Some people value things over others, and those things have repercussions, right? Whenever we have a blessing, whenever a blessing is given to us, is allotted to us, it's afforded to us, it's inherited to us, it's sacrificed for us, we should always take that blessing and make full use of its intended purpose, right? Because if we take that blessing and we try to use it for something other than what it was designed for, other than what it was intended for, it's not going to work out well. You know what I'm saying? If you take a bookshelf and the instructions tell you how to put that bookshelf together, and then when you get the bookshelf home, right, you decide that you're not going to follow the instructions, that you're going to do something on your own. And then when it doesn't work out well, when it doesn't stand straight, when you try to put something on and it falls apart, or you figure you were going to use it for something other than a bookshelf, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't work out well. Turns out worse for you than it was than when you started. You dig? And just one example, just a funny example, but it's yet an example. When we give someone something because they have made it known that there's a need, and then once they get what they said they needed, then they don't do what they said they were going to do, or whatever intended purposes don't take place. And then you wonder why it's worse for you later than it is than when you started, because you didn't take the blessing and use it how it was intended, right? You misused the blessing, or you abused the blessing. You dig? Okay, so I'm going to just give you an example real quick. We're not going to be long on this So Thankful Thursday, right? But I'm so thankful on this Thursday that I understand using the blessing for its intended purpose. I'm so glad, God. I had to go through a lot to understand. I had to lose a lot. I had to suffer a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I come to understand that when God gives you a blessing and it's for a purpose, make sure you use it for that purpose and you don't misuse it or you abuse it, because when you do that, you make it worse for yourself than when you first started. And the example I'm going to use is going to be the example of Esau and his brother Jacob. You dig? And how Esau didn't value what was his. He didn't value the blessing that he had, that it was his blessing. And because he didn't value it, it cost him greatly and dearly. But before we get into the lesson, please like this video, share this video on all your platforms. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, right? So you're always notified whenever I upload content. And please hit the bell notification. You dig? Make sure you're sharing this video. Make sure you leave comments in the video so I can interact with you guys. All right, now let's get into this. Now in Genesis 25, we see Esau selling his birthright to his brother, Jacob, right? It was Esau's. It was his. It wasn't Jacob's. It was Esau's. And it was his from birth. This was his right. It was his. No one else could use it, could obtain it. No one else could have it. It was his, right? From birth. It was a birth-given blessing. It was a blessing, right? And so what happened was he came in one day, probably had a bad day, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't having a good day, didn't find no food, you know what I'm saying? Didn't make no kills, so, you know, brother kind of hungry, you know what I'm saying? And he went to the house, and Jacob had it smelling all good up in there in the kitchen, you know what I'm saying? The brother came in and said, yo, man, I'm about to die. I'm starving, bro. Can you hook me up with some victuals? And his brother was like, and Jacob was cold with it. He was straight a savage. He was like, yo, smell good, don't it? You want some of this, dog? He's like, oh man, please, man, I'm about to die. You know, I'm about to die. I need to eat now. And Jacob was like, yeah, it's thick. It's smelling nice and rich and chunky. Look at the venison in there. It's popping. And he's like, please, bro, I'm about to perish. Please give me something to eat. And Jacob was like, sell me your birthright. He's like, what? Yeah. Yeah, he was a savage, but he's like, yo, it smells so saucy. You know what I'm saying? Sell me your birthright, man. I got a bowl right here waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? Right here. Don't it smell good? He was like, my birthright, bro? He's like, yo, sell me your birthright, bro. I need that birthright, man. You need the venison, I need the birthright. You need the meat, I need the status. You dig? And so he was like, well, man, what good does a birthright do if I die? You know what I'm saying? Whatever, man, give me the ball. And Jacob was like, on mamas. You know what I'm saying? It was done deal. On mamas. You know what I'm saying? Let's dap it up. Boop, boop. Cool. I got your birthright. Here's a nice, big, hot bowl of red. You know, that's what they called it, right? Give me some of that red, bro. I need some of that soup. Give me some of that red. Because the meat, the venison was red, you know, made the juice from the meat was red, so it made the stew red, so they called it red. So, give me some of that red. So he sold his birthright for physical satisfaction. He sold his spiritual right for physical satisfaction, right? He would rather have satisfied his flesh than satisfied his spirit. Because see, the truth of the matter is he wouldn't have died, right? He'd have been hungry. His stomach would have been growling a little bit. He might have been grumpy and pissed off, a little mad. But guess what? He'd have woke up the next day. He would have survived. He'd have lived. He would have went out, back out there hunting. He'd have caught something probably that day. You just had a bad day. It happens to all of us, homie. We all have crappy days, you know what I'm saying? But you came in and thought, oh my God, I'm about to die. What good is a birthright if I'm dead? If I'm 6 feet in the ground? Man, give me that food, man. Ain't tripping up no birth, man. You tripping, man. Give me that food. How many of us have sold the blessing? How many of us has given away the blessing? How many of us has not done what God instructed us to do with the blessing? And then we take it and we think we know better and we go do something else. And then we get our butts in hot water. And all of a sudden now we calling on God again to help us out. Why? Because we didn't do what we were supposed to do from the jump street. Now we 7 times off worse than we was when we started. I know you have heard me say many a time that, man, obedience is better than sacrifice. And it is, okay? Obedience is much better than sacrifice, even with the blessing. When you're obedient with the blessing, it's far better to be obedient with the blessing than to try to sacrifice, right? Because gain for right now, gain for right now in this dispensation, right now, today, gain for today, okay, it far diminishes the increase of what's to come. When we give away our birthright, when we give away the spiritual blessing for fleshly satisfaction, it always diminishes the increase. Always. Okay? So let's use the blessing for its intended purposes. That's all I'm saying. Don't be stupid. Don't be foolish. Don't let the devil trick you. Use the blessing for what it's supposed to be for. And then we'll be blessed, right? We'll be blessed beyond measure. Hey, I'm just saying, man, when we want to satisfy our flesh over satisfying our spirit, there's some heavy prices to pay. You know what I'm saying? There's some heavy prices to pay. Why? Because we don't want to wait, right? We got a problem with wait. We want our stuff right now. See, when we wait, there's a process you got to go through. It takes some time. It takes some patience. It takes some hard days. It takes some days going out there and not coming with nothing. It takes days like that. But then other days, bro, you're going to be like having all kind of meat over because you just had a haul that day. You was killing everything. You know what I'm saying? You got meat to spare. But it's the journey. It's the process, right? Because we want to satisfy our future. We want to satisfy the spirit, which leads to our future, not satisfy our flesh, which only leads to satisfying now. See, when there's now, there's no waiting. You don't have to wait. But your future, you have to wait. But see, the Bible says, those that wait upon the Lord, they shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings of eagles. They shall run, right? And they shall not get tired. They shall walk and not get faint, right? They're not going to get weary, right? But you got to wait. Everything is not for you to have right now. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, what are you going to do with it? See, God gave you for you to go do A because you prayed. Oh, Lord, Jesus, please, if you just give. And then he come through. And then you take the blessing and you go extra stage left. And then it winds up being way worse for you. Right? Then what you going to do? So let us remember, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Wait on the Lord. Don't misuse the blessing. Don't abuse the blessing. Okay? Well, what if you don't like that story? Well, I don't like that story. I ain't never liked Esau and Jacob anyway. Okay, well, what about the prodigal son? He said, give me my birthright. Give me what you owe me. I want it all now. I don't want to have to wait in the future. I want it now. And then what did he do? He misused the blessing. It's not like he went out there and started a business, or he went out there and he invested and he was trying to make things happen. He misused the blessing. He abused the blessing, and it became worse than it was from when he started. All I'm saying is, y'all, let's be mindful of what we ask for. And let's be mindful that when we get what we ask for, that we do with it the intended purpose that God has designed, that he gave it to us with in mind, with instructions that he's told us how to use the blessing. Let's take those instructions and use it for the blessing and not do what we want to do. Let's be mindful to satisfy the spirit and not satisfy our flesh all the time. Because what happens when it's worse for you and no one's there to help you? What happens when you call on God like the boy cried wolf? And you call on God and God say, look, man, the last 3 times, 4 times you didn't call me, you said you needed it, and I gave to you. And then you took it and you misused it. You abused the blessing. I'm good, man. I'm cool. You're going to figure this one out on your own. What if God came at us like that? And he would be justified, right? He would be totally justified. Why? Because what he's given us, we're not properly using. We're abusing, right? We're misusing it, which is abuse. No one likes to give something to see what they've given be abused. I have daughters. I'd be damned if I give my daughter in marriage and then turn around, they're being misused or abused. You abusing the blessing that I gave you? No, that's not going to sit well. That's not going to fly. You dig? So let us just remember, man, when God blesses us, when we ask God for stuff and he blesses us with what we ask for, we're asking for a reason, right? You're asking for a specific purpose. Well, when God meets that need, take that blessing and meet that specific purpose. Don't go use it for something else, because if he gave you the blessing for that specific purpose and all of a sudden another need arises or pops up, guess what? He'll give you for that need or for whatever arises too. Don't be trying to swap and then you decide how you're going to use the blessing when you ask God for something and he gave you the blessing specifically for that. I'm just saying, if you want to be covered and you don't want to be in trouble, and I'm speaking from experience because I've been there. I asked God for something, he blessed me, and then I decided when he gave it to, God, I think I know better over here. I think I'm going to use it over here. And God said, oh yeah? Okay, let me know how that work out for you. And then what I was doing, crying, snotting, pleading, no, God, please help me. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't see God. I didn't know, God, please help. I've been there, done that. When you get the blessing after God's given what you asked for, make sure you use it for its intended purpose. You dig? And then you'll be blessed. And no matter what happens, God will always cover you. Why? Because then he'll know he can trust you, because he'll know that when he asks me for something and I give it, he's going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. And I can trust my son or my daughter. Don't put God in a position where he say, I don't know, your track record ain't really trustworthy. You dig? So anyway, just want to come on this So Thankful Thursday, man, and just remind you guys on the So Thankful Thursday to remember not to abuse the blessing, to use the blessing for its intended purpose and what God meant it for. And so I just want to come on real quick and say that. So listen, one love, LaMelo E. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. You dig? Love, uplift, motivate, inspire, learn, laugh, encourage, and enlighten. Go check out the website. Go check out the merch. And remember, share this video. Encourage someone. Someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know that what they're doing is causing their problems. When they're abusing the blessing, they're making it worse for them. So you be the one to share this. And you be the one to tell them. One love, you, man, LeVon. I'm out.